Hello everyone. So welcome to my channel. So I hope you have been perusing my videos, the videos I've been making. So it's an ongoing effort to basically I wanna upload something every day, like a new content, memorize something and just spit it blind. But then just like with anything, it's like a muscle. You cannot work out every day. You need time to build, heal. Just like you need time to rebuild, heal your muscles. Rebuild the muscles. You need rest. Similarly, you want things to get in long term. So if you're constantly learning and if you're not reviewing, the whole Ebbinghaus memory recall and everything, you're gonna forget. So anyways, I'm making this video for a different topic. The title is "Does Photographic Memory Exist?" Now a bit of background about myself. I've been obsessed with photographic memory since I was a kid. Like basically, it's like a superpower that I wanted to develop. Like, just read something like a book and absorb everything. And then I went to South Africa from Bangladesh. And it was in the 90s, and back then they used to run those promos. Kevin Trudeau and the others, Howard Berg, photographic, Sheely method of they would go they would do this infomercials where they would just scroll down like and and they'd photo read everything, and I was blown away by that. And then Kevin Trudeau, of course, we all know what happened to him, but aside from that, the controversy, like it blew my mind how he could remember those names, right? But subconsciously, even though I was like a kid, like 10 or 13 or whatever, 16, 15, I didn't want to buy that product. I didn't want that hack, because deep in my gut something said that's not natural, that's artificial. I want to develop the real power by myself, the real photographic memory. So and I also felt like if I could buy that, it's like a pill, and if I could remember everything, I wanted to figure it out. Like I wanted to hack it. I wanted to hack how to get perfect recall. So anyways, but I ended up at the end. But then from South Africa, I used to see those infomercials. Then I went to America, Garden Grove High School, and Anaheim, Garden Grove, those areas, and I finally purchased the product, and I amazed like the kids in the class, and I used those mnemonic tricks to remember. Like I wouldn't study, and our professor, U.S. history professor, Mr. Frank, used to give us a sheet of paper, and to fill out the map of Africa, for example, or like periodic table, or like no, the periodic table, that was chemistry, obviously. So and I would study, and right before 5 minutes before the class, I would remember, oh shit, we have a quiz, and I use those techniques like Chad, Mali in Bengali means like gardener, and Chad is like Chad in Bengali. Having different, knowing a different, being bilingual helps because you can relate more. So anyway, and then one day this kid, I think his name was Anthony. To talk about photographic memory, I think his name was Anthony. He was in my computer science class, and he gave me a whole bunch of these weird names, and I was like, whoa, and I couldn't remember it. And then I asked him, what are those? Then he said, these are the name of the bands. But slowly it dawned on me, like gradually, and this is not the legit real shit, but in Kevin Trudeau's the course, one thing that did capture my mind was how he talked about going on autopilot, how it takes if you do something for 28 days, you get into habit, and you activate your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind remembers everything, and you get into autopilot, and that becomes a second nature, those mnemonics. That stuck with me. I loved that concept. And then in the library, in the meantime, and again, this is like a stretch of, this is like 20 years back. And then one day I was going to the Garden Grove Library, regional library, found a book about total recall, how it talked about going to essentially they're talking about sensory deprivation tank, like you get into relaxed state, alpha theta state, go into dark room, and you get into a dark room, and recall, you get a relaxed state and recall everything, like a videographic recall. Later I would find there are different types of photographic memory, like Will Hunting and Good Will Hunting. He does this fucking page a second shit, which John Stuart Mill could do, and he remembers everything. However, in Kyle XY, the family show in ABC Family, the TV show, he did like what he called like videographic recall. Like he walked through it, which also Mary Lou Henner's TV show Unforgettable. They also have the similar. So that's more like a videographic recall, and I think that's what LeBron has. It's my contention. Everyone has that because obviously we can fucking, even if we lose something, we can recall, rewind back, and see. Most people say, "Oh, I can't even remember where I don't have bad memory," and that hampers it. And he says, "I couldn't remember where I lost my keys. I mean, I can recall pi to 100 digits, but I couldn't remember. Like yesterday, I didn't know why I misplaced my license." And then I rewinded back, and finally I said, okay, it should be there, and found it. But what happens is, see, this is your entire lifespan. That split second where you misplace something, it happens. It's like an atomic reference. It's like so minute. And what happens is, so it's like slips. It's like if you go do those one of the videographic edits and timeline. It's not even a strip. It's like non-existent. That's why people have hard time finding lost objects. And what happens is when you lose something, you're important in a wallet or something else, you go into panic mode. You go into a panic mode, and that's what you can recall. But what I do is, I even actually, once I lost my wallet, I lied down, went into relaxed state, lied down, closed my eyes, focused on my third eye, and it helped. It helped me remember what happened. But what most people panic, and your cortisol spikes up, and you're not in relaxed state, and you cannot remember everything. So it's photographic memory or whatever, good memory, exceptional memory, videographic memory, powerful memory, whatever you want to call it, is a state of mind. You get into a peak state of mind, flow state of mind, zone state of mind, Mikai checks in, Mikai state of mind, and where your hypofrontal, the cortex, what do you call that? Shit. Stephen Kotler talks about it. There's a term. I have so much to cover. That's why I'm myself not in a relaxed state right now. He talks about temporal hypo, where it slows down your neocortex, you slows down your inner critic, your inner woodale, and slows down. So you get into zone. Then in that state you can do anything. You're like limitless. That state photographic memories recall. So another thing I want to touch on is Wilder Penfield. Back in the days of MK Ultra, CIA, Canada, they used to did this the study. So I found in this book of autosuggestion how I think I still have it in my library. So that study proved, and scientists, academics, they're so pedantic and so cynical, and they want to shove it down, suppress it, but what really and they want to talk about, for instance, a side note, flashback memories, how like they're always trying to find the faults and nitpicking and picking faults, like how flashback memory is faulty. Yeah, but at the same time, fucking it's also real. It's realer than life. You do recall in crystal clear fashion what happened in your last fucking quinceanera and or the 9/11. Yeah, this or like it's the false witness fallacy and blah blah blah. Yeah, but at the same time you do recall it. Also, the hippocampus of London taxi cab drivers with it's just like a muscle. You can build it strong and strong. So from right after kids are grown, if you train them to achieve photographic memory, remember everything like a snapshot, let the subconscious do the thing, and even rote learning. I do most of the stuff with rote learning. That's it, because this is a list. If it was something else, and it's also have to do perform it verbatim. It's more like a theatric, and that's where the segue comes. So as I was saying, Wilder Penfield study showed that the subconscious memory, you subconsciously remember everything, and when they press a node on those fucking on your brain, those axons and synapses and whatever the cells, it triggers that day. Like, they'll talk about what happened on 1947, and it was on a Wednesday, August 3rd or whatever, and they will say, oh yes, I was having an ice cream, it was raining, the ice cream started melting, and it was raining, but it was humid, it was hot, and it was the ice cream was of caramel. It's like it happens just like when they press the nodes, and for some reason that study never appeared, never surfaced, and no one followed through. But that's I think a powerful lead to regarding photographic memory. Next is Kim Peek, who doesn't have his corpus callosum. That's why his brain actually works like a whole brain, and he holds it real close. So I think those are the good leads to actually, how to activate photographic memory naturally. But and subconscious memory, LeBron, and he keeps in tip top shape. LeBron, like he continuously exercises that gift he has, like, and it grows, and it's like he becomes more and it's like the disparity, like if you use it or lose it, like the more he uses it, more powerful it becomes, the more, and it's a upward cycle. So I think it's gonna shut down after 20 minutes. Let me check. Yeah, it's been 10 minutes, so I think I can cover it in 10 minutes. So I wrote this is an open letter to CIA, where this published studies. So I wrote a paper, and I want to share that with you. It's an open letter to CIA, and I'll share it verbatim. Let's see if it, see if you might find it of help. So note, for consideration for publication, avoiding snail mail as we are staying home. 2. Studies Editor, Center for the Study of Intelligence, Center Intelligence Agency, Washington, D.C., 2505, dated March 28, 2020. So it was in the peak of coronavirus. Anyways, does photographic memory exist? This is by Zishan Mahmood. A first testament to answering the question is to develop it firsthand and demonstrate it. A true eidetic recall in the photographic sense that matches the lore of Hollywood indeed actually can be found in Hollywood. For instance, actress Mary Lou Henner, amongst others, demonstrated in widely viewed YouTube videos in CBS 60 Minutes interview is that of hyperthymesia. Note, although they have been shown to demonstrate tremendous episodic, and pardon me, I'll be going fast because it's gonna shut down after 20 minutes. I didn't change the setting, so excuse me for going on rapid pace. Note, although they have been shown to demonstrate that tremendous episodic recall to pinpoint precision, as have been put to rigor of test by UCI memory researchers and TV production unit themselves, the question remains, why would they not be able to recall, say, Encyclopedia Britannica at will, just given a few glances akin to Kim Pick? Well, the reason partially it has to do with the types of memory itself. For instance, LeBron James, as vociferously echoed by journalists who interviewed him about his vivid prowess of recollection, would be hard-pressed to memorize War and Peace at a single glance, because, according to my opinion, his set of skills deals primarily with visuospatial recall, or as in the case of Mary Lou and other hypothymegics, episodic recall. On the other hand, and as Mary Lou mentioned in a Soy's radio show on YouTube, reading a paper has to do with a flat or two-dimensional surface. It is a paper, the author recalls her saying. So she went to Soy in the radio show, talk show on YouTube, and said, yeah, you can recall, like she said, what about scripts? Like, does she, but she says it's a flat piece, so it's like a piece of paper. So her, like, it's a 3D, her mind works in 3D, and she's obsessive compulsive, I think she has a certain obsessive OCD, and so she like arranges her whole dates like in a timeline. My mother also has that kind of ability of photographic recall of dates, but it's not, I think, as developed as hers. The author further found out from YouTube search how Samuel L. Jackson mentioned in an interview how his skill at memorizing script is sharp as a tack, quote, and he could read a script a few times and just know it, 3 times and just know it. Similar method has been used by actors routinely to drill the subject matter by rereading, blocking, acting out intonation, similar to the case of melody of Quran memorizing of Hafiz, and infusing and imbuing emotions. I postulate, since just like Anders Andersen found out in Peak, that one can build up muscle and memorize more digits around the landscape of 80 to 100 with artificial mnemonics, or say an expert chess player recall a board at a single sighting. The art of script of memorizing is a singular and different domain than LeBron and or Mary Lou's one. The reason why Samuel L. Jackson may be able to perform this and possess the whole skill is due to his reputation in his occupational career. So basically he has been doing this for a long time. That's why he can just read a script 3 times and know it. But that's different as Mary Lou Henner and LeBron James's cases. And author also found that apparently James Franco and Mayim Bialik of Big Bang Theory also seem to possess the skill, the latter practicing from age 14, which might give clues as to the facility of her skill. Further, author also noted how Tom Meyer, the gentleman who memorized 20 books of the Bible, who rubbed shoulders, quote unquote, with scholars in Jerusalem, also usually acts out his scenes. Another thing that Tom Meyer mentioned in his book was the span, your eye span. If something can cover your eye span, no matter how much information is there, like a flashcard. Why this is my contention? Because flashcard, no matter how much you can cram, it's like still in your. It's like you can fit in your mind's eye, very, very, easily. It's a facile thing with great facility. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyways, I have to go. Author agrees with William Walker Atkinson. He's a Google that name. Theory that repetition as well as the games like that of tachyscopic nature perfected by Indian urchins as mentioned in Rudyard Kipling's Kim, or say how at a single glance in carriage a woman might observe everything pertaining to fashion whereas a man might not, but perhaps capture other information pertaining to his taste, that given although enough diligent effort and memory of degree of near photographic nature can be cultivated. Scientific community, as preached sideways by Joshua Foer, remains skeptical regarding this matter, quick to dismiss Kim Pick's ability, and skeptic.com further remains in contempt about the lore of Shashpulak, Talmudic scholars who could allegedly recall, and this is bullshit, come on, Tibetan Buddhist Vedic monks, they can recite, Tibetan monks can actually fucking recite the whole, it's like basically an encyclopedia, and it's all through rote. Okay, now Shashpulak, I don't know if they did it with rote and they had photographic recall, but the thing is, at the end product was they could, after you remember, even via rote, you can still carry it in your mind's eye entire fucking encyclopedia. So, and even Swami Vivekananda could do it because of his brahmacharya skills, but that's different. So, as I was saying, but two championing factors, okay, so Talmudic scholar who could accordingly, okay, quick to dismiss Kim Pick's ability, and skeptic.com further remains in contempt of the lore of Shashpulak, Talmudic scholars who could allegedly recall with words or letter a pin might have passed through in the entire content of the book. But two championing factors have given hopes to the author. First, being the clear videographic recall of events under deep relaxed state, an idea he received while watching the fictional program Kyle XY, wherever the genetically injured being possessed photographic recall, but just like any normal mortal can visualize any events at will in his or her mind's camera. This is also supported by Mary Lou Henry in the radio show of Sway, as often one hears the objection, I can't even recall what I have. I was too pretentious, I don't know why. I can't even recall what I have for breakfast at insert such and such time. Of course, the set and setting is of prime importance, and the same person might recall it after hankering her memory ad nausea with battery power of willpower, or as to recall it at a shower or laying down out of the blue. People think it's photographic memory or just memory in general is like either or, and that's because of the stupid college education academia of quiz culture. Do you know it now? Why does it have to know it now? It's not either or. It's a continuum. It's a grayscale. Even if I can recall some name right now, like I remember yesterday I saw this name. I'm not gonna mention. Let's just say X, and immediately it reminded me of another Vaughn's cashier bagger of the same name, and she stood out because of her the way she looked, and I don't want to talk more about that because I think she was handicapped. I mean, not handicapped, disabled. Let's just call spade a spade. But I never consciously think of her. But the moment I saw that, it triggered me, that name. So it's not that I forgot her name. If I saw her with her face, I would have known, because I haven't seen her for the last fucking 6 years or 7 years, and I don't even see her. Like, it's just like a flash. So the point being, it's not a switch. It's not either you know it or you don't. That's not how your brain fucking works. So that's why with shower or in a relaxed state or under hypnosis, we can remember stuff we have forgotten. Forensic hypnosis is also a big thing. Okay, the second one being the research of Wilder Penfield, which the Central Intelligence Agency itself has been purportedly knowledge has purportedly knowledge at first hand, whereby when certain neurons are stimulated, perfect vivid memories of long forgotten events are triggered. I would also like to acknowledge the power of evening recall, as stated by Mark Devine of Sylphite in his blog, having experienced the etching of random obscure detail such as name tags of a Staples employee or a random license plate, that even after an agent pays to attention to these random details, she or she can recall it at the day's end, winding down in a bathtub with Epsom salt in a dark chamber due to the relaxed nature of the state. At the same time, although not verified, the author found out that repetition and rereading may activate different synaptic signals in the brain than just plain recalling or visualization. Thus, recall is more important than the act of encoding itself. Yeah, you can just see a list for like freaking 10 seconds, but you don't have to recall unless you're performing, which I do. You can know it in like 10 seconds, but and the people say, oh, and what usually the memory tests do is that they quiz you. You say, okay, so recite it back. No, You have to get in a relaxed state, like to regurgitate, churn it, ruminate. Like it's like a puzzle. You set it in your mind's eye. You play with it, and then you can recall it, reset effortlessly. That there's a Taoist effect of flow to this nature. But because of this quiz culture, academia, college, school, formal education, they butcher it because of the way they teach how to learn and study. Having devoted a lifetime to this subject, studying books ranging from Power of Subconscious Mind and Magic of Believing by Joseph Murphy and Claude Bristol to practicing repeated affirmations of mantra, I have photographic memory, inspired by manifestation gurus and practitioners of New Age and law of attraction philosophy as Bob Proctor, Wayne Dyer, Jack Canfield, et al. It is my firm belief that the latent photographic memory can be achieved and unlocked. As Yogi Berra said, we all have photographic memory, but some don't have the film. By birth, we are endowed with eidetic imagery. Conditioning and societal programming as well as education destroys that latent ability. By continual progression of practices in a sadhana, as evidenced by Eugen Hergel in the Zen and the Art of Archery, and repeated practice of meditation, deep relaxation, as well as affirmation or mantra or chanting for better term, a Zen mind of mu or empty mind or great mind after Satori can be realized. This empty mind, so as purported and parroted in lores of Eastern literature and so championed by peak performers and Olympic athletes, once a relaxed state of mind devoid of complete programming, brainwashing and thoughts, strings of consciousness can endow a state where a mind's camera captures everything and can recall it at will verbatim within a relaxed state. And we all possess the capability to cultivate it. The answer is simple yet not so simple. One needs to maintain an attitude of knowing one's kensho and to be in a state of flow in a sublime moment of peace, bliss and zen. As Atkinson mentioned, interest lies in a big part in the cultivation. Since mind's chatter automatically stops and flow is induced when an agent automatically loves a subject or is passionate about it, the problem or rather challenge lies entirely his state of flow at will. In the state of flow, it's unedited, by the way. And however, human memory is far more fluid and dynamic to be packaged under labels or boxes for scientific studies. For we all employ various facets to memorize the subject, attacking it from various angles with each and different component of our brain. Whole brain hemispheric symphony whereby short-term memory is in perfect dance with interplay of long-term memory is the key. Mind must be alert and relaxed, focused but softly, as intensity of focus might activate analytical skills which impedes the holistic whole brain performance. It might also be of interest to pursue the case of flashbulb memory, whereby the research has shown that people in close proximity to 911 epicenter ground zero seem to remember more, or rather, as they put it, like it was yesterday, as opposed to people in a further distance, and some may have filled in details with false memory. But again, the internet cuffs of sparse and skeptical research regarding it than promising more one. To insert a personal anecdote, how the author needed to cancel Filmora software to avoid renew fees, and upon standing on a bus station, he found that since the code was embedded in an image file, the only way to plug the key would be to memorizing it. So I was waiting on a bus stand, and thus the context forced him to memorize 20 digits in a short span. Question remains, since it was purged from short-term memory, can hypnosis be utilized to recall that ID? So if I go back to, it happened like 3 months ago where I had to deactivate Filmora, and I reactivated it and they gave me a 20-digit number, and it was an image file, so I couldn't just copy and paste. I had to remember it, and it was on my phone, and I did that. But do I remember that number? Who knows? Context plays a role in this matter too. Author himself found out that after taking long-winded, deeply taxing pilgrimages to a law library with 3 buses for 1.5 hours to finally arrive at such a destination, or say UCS Mathematical Library, compels the mind to prep to remember everything in more vivid recall. Because it just takes so much time and effort and energy to go to this particular library, so your mind is like, okay, I gotta capture everything. It's basically like real life CIA shit. It's like, suppose the one only book exists in some fucking Library of Congress, and you can't check it out, and you really love it, and you look at it, and you can only you just go to that state for Washington? And you can only stay there for 5 minutes, like 1 hour, or like 20 minutes, and your mind will work in a different way. And also, remember Darren Brown, how he did this, I don't think I can finish it, let me see. I think it's half an hour at the time. So I'll blast through this. So Darren Brown, you know how he made this guy go to this library and just tell him to, like, just study all these books and just with page a second. What happened is your subconscious remember, and I think there's some truth, very kernel of truth to that. I think your subconscious does remember everything, and I think that's an amazing, fantastic strategy. Props to Darren Brown. so compels the mind to remember everything in a more vivid recall. The reason simply being, since it takes so much effort and the event is physically exhausting, after the arduous process, when the mind relaxes, it is in far more capable to recall no matter how complex or gigantic a tome with far more facility. The final word should be highlighted. Facility or ease of nature is what is to be strived to consummately devour large proportions. Since the incentive is higher to capture such amounts of information in a shortage of given time, the mind enters in a more alert and heightened state as that of zazen. It is almost the bow is taut but not tight enough to snap. As in case of Mary Lou Henner, Samuel L. Jackson, LeBron James, Joshua Ford, or my videos, their respective memories, no matter how phenomenal, is still incomplete. Mary Lou cannot do what Samuel can, and neither can Foyer duplicate LeBron's natural gift, nor copy Mary Lou's ability. A complete package reminiscent of Snippet in Good Will Hunting and Kyle XY is ultimately what will form the core foundation, the pith of a robust eidetic imagery. Do I have photographic memory? Henceforth, I don't know what I had for breakfast yesterday. Actually, right now, if you ask me what I had for breakfast, I can't recall. I have to stop this video, think about it, close my eyes, I'll stare at it, and then I'll remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. Like today, I know what I had for breakfast. So it's like, because it's not like our mind works like, oh, we're gonna be quizzed on it. That's not how it works. I mean, what the fuck did I have for breakfast yesterday? Yeah, because there had too many stuff that happened. Because I have to rewind and I have to go back to that place. I can and I have to finish this. So yeah, I don't know what I have for breakfast, but it will come. And it's not like your mind categories. It's not like I sit down, there's this old traditional breakfast. It's like what I ate. Well, I eat throughout the day. So like snacks, drinks. So what do you mean by breakfast? Sometimes I wake up, I drink coffee. Is that a breakfast or like whatever? So henceforth, I don't know what I had for breakfast yesterday, let alone 10